Hey, I just come in to say hey and to give a little bit of an update on what's been going on artistically. I've been observing the artistic community and I guess in just the different disciplines that I practice, which recently are digital painting, tattooing and tattoo design, and graphic design. With graphic design, me and graphic design have an interesting situation. I always kind of go back and forth, like, do I want to work as a graphic designer or not? And to be honest, most of the graphic design work that I've gotten has been more for illustration. And with me being in a graphic design class now, I've thought about going more of the corporate route. But what I was taking note of is sometimes in this industry, people like to get work that's similar to work that they've seen. And I've noticed that in a few different ways. Like I watched a YouTube video about staying current as a graphic designer. And when I was watching it was what I thought it was going to be. It was just basically pointing out ways of being similar to everybody else. And, that's always been my challenge when it was, with working with clients. Sometimes people want what everyone else has. You notice that in the tattoo industry, like a lot of times, you see people getting the same tattoos, and I sometimes look at different tattoo studios popping up on my Instagram feed, but most recently I was watching YouTube videos about different conventions in different cities in the US and different cities in Europe, and cities and countries, I guess you can say. And what I noticed is that it was more of the same, and it's like the tattoo artists are good and the art is good and the choices that the customers are making are good, but it's repetitive, and in graphic design stuff is repetitive, and I can't tell whether this is like current or how it's always been, especially with like social media and stuff like that. When I first started graphic design, things were different because social media wasn't as big of a part of the picture as far as people readily seeing everything all the time, anytime at once, And over the years, I've noticed that it's not easy not being the same, Fine art is more of my thing, and so I've just concentrated on that. And as far as the rest, it's the same as like art, I'm taking a less controlled approach. I always thought that I would have to concentrate on specific pieces, looking specific ways in order to really, have the kind of accomplishment that I associated with success, and so with fine art, just being less uptight, about this has to be a good piece or this has to be what the client wants. It's just like I'm taking steps back from that, and I'm not really thinking about trying to lure clients in or trying to like have the kind of art or design that lands clients, because it doesn't really work for me like to go that route anyway. So why bother, with my thoughts about going back to graphic design. My initial thought is just super corporate, like clean layout, information, boom, presented, and that's that. As far as like the creative side, if it comes, that's cool. But if not, like, not really thinking about it. Same with tattooing. Like, what I'm working on now is like a Game of Thrones kind of piece. Like, it's just like 3 portraits of my favorite characters, and the background that's coming in now is more of like the city, like one of the cities that's involved, or one of the most important structures, and like other little details. And in making this, I found one of my challenges that I need to work on, which is like geometric stuff. Like, one of the symbols is like a perfect circle, and within that circle, it's like a creature that follows the same lines as the circle, and you really can't stray too far from the shape, And so that's kind of how I find my weaknesses as an artist, and then I just go into working on them, probably be drawing lots of circles and geometric shapes and symmetrical stuff and all of that. I've already known that geometric stuff like rooms and straight lines and stuff like that, it's really not my strong suit. And with desks and things that are artistic, you can kind of get away with stylizing it. But with stuff that's of another person's creation, something like Game of Thrones, or if like you're talking about their logo or their font, and you can get away with some, but if you go too far away, especially when everything else is like realistic, it's like you can only go so far. So but that's pretty much that. I've been working a lot with Adobe CC lately, and I have to for school, and it's given me an opportunity to work with like the newest versions of software that I own older versions of. And the biggest difference that I've noticed is that the newest software is kind of written in a way that it's just fast, and what I mean by fast is like the brush strokes, they have like a fast reaction time. Like I use I'll show you. I use this kind of digital pad, and it's not a touch screen, but when I turn this on, this becomes like my mouse, and this is like what I would see on my screen. But when I zoom in, like this isn't like a super expensive setup. But what I notice is that like the stroke will come to a point. It's like if I do this kind of motion on the pad, on the screen, it's similar to how it would be if I was using like a marker or a brush. Like it goes wide and then it tapers, and that's a pretty cool little function. The older software doesn't have like that fine ending, so but it's still good, that's the thing. But and there's different like interfaces that are really nice, and I've been working with this software for like 15 years now, so the newer versions are nice, but older ones are good too, in my opinion. So, but with that, I'm just gonna go and do some arting I really wanted to just sit and sketch today, but I have some homework to do, an assignment. Actually, I have 2 assignments that I need to do, so I'm gonna do that and try to get some of the, and definitely do some of the sketching. Like, that's just necessary. But on that note, thanks for tuning in, and I definitely will see you later. Bye.